Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Bald Avenger Show. I am Jason Cisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, the tattooed guru, the purveyor of all things common sense, the king of the Misfit Nation, and a legend in my own mind. Got to always throw that in there, y'all, because everybody thinks, oh, he thinks he's a legend. I am in my own mind. That's where we spend most of our time. So if I don't like myself there, where am I? I'm not going to like myself anywhere. Right? I'm dealing with a bunch of misfits. So you all know what I mean. So I am drinking. Those of you that don't know, I'm working with, and you'll be meeting him. I'm not sure it's going to happen this week. This week is fairly packed and busy, but I'm going to bring on, I've partnered with a company, and we are going to be in the realm of cutting edge health technologies. And so I'm going to be, right now, we dove into this guy that I'm going to introduce you to, has a tremendous amount of patents and is a certifiable genius. I've met a few of them in my life. The thing that's unique about this gentleman that I'm going to introduce you to in a couple of weeks, probably not this week, but next week, is he can have a conversation with regular people. So those of you that know people that are super smart, off the grid smart, just geniuses, I've known a few of them in my life, and I usually end up being the interpreter for them. But because they have a hard time communicating with the rest of the world, they're like, why don't you dumbasses understand or see what I see? That's what it tends to be with geniuses. And this guy is different, though. He's very relatable. He can communicate his ideas, and just needed some business backing and some business skills and tools, so to speak. And I got to get on here and share. Everybody get a chance that you can. Go ahead and share the show right now. If you can, share away. This thing is taking the world by storm. We seem to have flatlined at 70, right under 70 and 64,000, 67,000, 72,000. Like we're right around that 72,000 downloads now out there in the on all the channels and everything. So that's literally only happening because of y'all. So thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. I'm going to get over here and share this to my personal page, because what kind of an example would I be setting if I didn't share to my own page, right? Y'all know what I mean. All right. So, okay. Well, let's get rolling. Let's see. There we go. Hey, Emily Seelman's in the house. So, I have to find a couple of notes. So, do you know when you're arguing with, somebody about, like, you get in these little joking wars with people where you're like, okay, I'll talk to you later, I love you. And then you're like, no, I love you more. And like, you get into these little jokey kind of back and forth about, like you care about somebody. And then you're like, and then you're joking. You're like, there's no way you love me more than I love you. And you get into examples, right? You start to be like, who took out the trash, or, who painted the ceiling, or whatever. Hello, Beth. Welcome to the show. You get into those kind of wars. So, I had a very, very similar instance, and I was winning the war. And then I got this text. I legit sent you someone sticking her fingers in her eyeballs last night. So that was the message that I got, in proof of being cared for more. Weird, like just really weird. So that one trumps the day. That's the message. I said, you know what? You win. 100%. You win. All right. So let's get started on this because this is a great subject. I want to talk a little bit about, yes. Now the world knows how freaking weird you are, right? It's not out of context at all. I put it in context. See, that's the difference, right? We've got a bunch of people on Twitter and Facebook and all these other kind of things that are out of context. They take little sentences because they want to prove their side or whatever it is. I am the purveyor of all things common sense and, by the way, all things truthful. Therefore, I set proper context so that people can make their own mind up. Okay? So I won that one this evening. So moving on. I've got a couple of things. I've got something over on my whiteboard that I might drag in here, but I went to town on this one because Irk Phillips, those of you may have seen a conversation with him, a Facebook Live. You might follow him. He's a really dear friend of mine from back in the Tony Robbins days. And he said, and he sent me a private message and he asked me a very serious question about this fear of success. And I dug into it because, there's a lot of different ways that this subject is covered. And I wanted to look at it because I've spent the better portion of my life chasing success, whether, even when it was back in my criminal days, when I was trying to be a successful criminal, I was trying to be a good drug dealer. I was trying to be good at my job of collecting money. I was, when I played sports, I wanted to be a good football player. When I was, when I got out of that and I was hand peeling logs for $6 an hour, I wanted to be the best one that I possibly could be. And so, and then when I got to shoveling, I was shoveling out, for my ex-wife, for my father-in-law, I was shoveling out sumps and I wanted to be the best one that I could possibly be. I started tearing out carpet. I was a carpet layer's assistant because I wanted to learn a trade and I wanted to be the best that I possibly could be. And we've talked a little bit, we've talked quite a bit about this subject over the last couple of weeks in getting that feeling, right? Those of you that know, I just had a big exit from my company. I'm in a different realm. I'm in a different space. And I've really, through lots of different circumstances, I've really taken on this mantle of the Misfit Nation to the point where we're going back and forth with my marketing team on a page and having a place where we can all come together next year and vet different businesses or different programs that we've gone through. This was Misty Lane's idea, actually, so everybody can say thank you to her on that side because so many people are out there getting screwed or buying programs or hiring marketing teams or whatever it is that those of us in Misfit Nation, we can bounce ideas off of each other. Hey, I need to get this done. And we could take referrals from inside of Misfit Nation and start to build the wealth, right? And what I mean by wealth, think about it this way, all right? Everybody that's watching this, I define wealth this way, okay? Wealth is the ability to have a long-term freedom from the need of cash, okay? Because it's there, because it's working for you, because it's working in the background, because you've invested correctly, because you've built things of value that will go on beyond today, right? Most of the people that are out there don't understand this premise. I didn't when I was younger. It was like, make a bunch of money and then you spend it as fast as you possibly can, trying to prove to everybody that you've got money, right? Think about the shit that you guys watch me do. Do you ever see me in front of my cars? Do you ever see me in front of my house? Do you ever see me like I go on vacations, I'll do a live from the beach, but you don't see like the hotel room usually. You don't see where I'm at, those types of things because there's no sense in it. Like that's not what this is all about. This relationship that we have in Misfit Nation could come down to it doesn't matter. You could be worth less than, right? You could be worth less than zero, which is where I started the game. At a couple million, almost $3 million less than zero is where I feel like I actually started the journey that I'm on now. And so you could be worth less than zero in the monetary phase, but you're not worth less, right? You're not worthless. We all have value, and we're just waiting for that to kick in, right? So I always tell people to beware of who you are treating unkindly. because you never know when they're going to own your damn house, right? You never know. And those of us that have grown up with nothing, we understand that concept more than anybody. We feel like, I think that there's tears out there, and I'm setting the stage for the conversation tonight, because we feel like, even though if you go into India where there's caste, right? Or you go into other countries where there's a defined rich, poor, rich, royalty, those types of things. Here in the United States, it's not supposed to be like that. However, I'm going to unveil what I believe is the unstated caste system in the United States tonight. And we're going to go through it because it's important for us to understand it. It's unstated. We're told all the time that we can go from zero to hero. We can go from the bottom to the top anytime we want to, but there's a few things missing. There's people that are positioned in spots to control your path forward, right? There's people that are positioned, and we're gonna roll all of this out tonight. We're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna have this kind of conversation, and it's gonna be real, and it's gonna piss off some people that are close to me because they're gonna see themselves in this. But it's not about you, right? This is not that song. It's not about you, right? This is about a point. And Brian Sly says we don't see Jason's cars because he doesn't want to show off his soccer mom's van. And guess what? It's okay, Brian, for you to talk shit over the computer, but guess who I'm going to be seeing in person on Friday? Yeah. Enjoy it for the next 3 days of your life. And there's nothing wrong with a mom van. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that path, but the point is that if we get caught up in that, here's the number one tool, the number one leverage tool for you to be able to take whatever caste you were born into, right? Or whatever caste you may find yourself in right now, and to elevate, right? Is to know and understand that you are your biggest asset. Your brain, your heart, your ability to learn, your ability to overcome who you are, right? And we're going to talk about this in perspective of what we're talking about tonight. But I think I want to bring in the whiteboard so that you all can see or get an idea of what I'm talking about. Because this fear of success, there's a dark side to it, right? And the dark side is a lot like, those of you that know, and by the way, I'm going to talk a little bit about the movie, The Joker, the new movie, The Joker. So if you don't want to know any spoilers, I don't think I'm going to spoil too much, but I want to use some examples from that movie so that you understand, right? A lot of us, when we aren't born into wealth, when we aren't born into privilege, when we aren't born into, and I don't care, this is not like, look, somebody says that there's white privilege out there. Okay, fine. I'm not here to argue that point. If you're born in America, whatever color you are, you're born with privilege. Okay. If you are born into certain countries, right, you are born with privilege, because the privilege of where you're born was given to you, not by anything that you earned, but by what other people paid for with their lives and with their dedication and with their integrity to make sure that we were born and raised in a free society. Those of you heard me talk about Alan Turing, right? And I want to talk about him just a little bit because it's a perspective that I want to talk about it, because less than 70 years ago, right? Less than 70 years ago, Alan Turing, who thought up in his mind a way to break a code that Hitler was using to beat the shit out of everybody that he was fighting, right? And it was called Enigma. And so Alan Turing got in, and you guys can see this. There's a movie that's out. You read the book, you read about Alan Turing. I get fascinated with people, and I dive all the way through into the history books, into the movies, into all of the stuff. And Alan Turing is an amazing human being that once in a generation, maybe once in several generations, maybe once in an eternity sort of brilliance that has caused computing as we know it, robotics as we know it, on and on and on and on. He was like a modern day Da Vinci, right? And so he cracks this code, and then he's, again, think about it this way, right? And I want to talk about Alan Turing's position in the caste system here in the United States, the unspoken caste system, and where he would be and how you keep yourself out of being used by people. Because Alan Turing was used by his country and then basically put out. And then one night somebody broke into, some people broke into his house. It happened to be one of his gay lovers that broke in, and the police busted him and they took him to jail. And then from that point forward, they convicted him of gross indecency, right? Gross indecency because he's gay. A war hero, the guy that literally we would all be speaking a form of German, I believe, today if it wasn't for him, because they couldn't break the code. They kept surprise jumping everybody like they were. And then even when he did break the code, they had to act like they didn't break the code. It's a fascinating story, y'all. So Alan Turing does all of that, saves the world, and I think somebody said had done some math on it, that he has saved over 14 million lives, right? And that doesn't even include what's happened since then, because if you weren't blonde, blue-eyed, you weren't the ideal German, you'd either be a slave or less than, or being controlled by somebody else, or killed because of your skin color. I wouldn't have made it, right? I wouldn't have made it. Not tall enough, brown eyes, last name that's Hispanic, and I'm not a purebred. All of that, I would have been in one of those categories, a servant, right? Or my life would have been predicted for me. Okay. And the movie's called The Imitation Game. And so what they did was they took him, they sucked out all of the brilliance in him, and then popular belief, religious belief, medical belief, political belief, all this stuff was that if you were gay, there was something wrong with you. Okay. And they went about chemically castrating one of the greatest minds that God has ever put on the face of this planet, chemically castrating this man to a point where he committed suicide because he's like, fuck it. There's something so wrong with you that we need to chemically castrate you because it's against the law. Right. And now we know that, again, you just fast forward, this was less than 70 years ago, right? Less than 70 years ago. So popular belief about anything, when a whole lot of people believe something, it's typically not good because it hasn't been thought out. It hasn't been thought out. So I bring that up because of the tiers. He wasn't in the proper tier. He wasn't in the tier of 100% true story, Lisa. 100% true man, 100% hero, 100% amazing human being. And so anyway, so you go back and you think to yourself, this is less than 70 years ago. And people that, if there's large groups of people that think something, usually the people that started that are in control of something or want to be in control of something. And the people that come along later on are just repeating talking points. Think about Democrats and Republicans right now. There's a lot of unthinking human beings on both sides of the aisle, that some people refuse to watch anything but Fox. Some people refuse to watch anything but MSNBC, right? So it's going to be typical, and people know that. The people that are controlling a whole lot of people know that they're not going to go out there, because why? Because they got them emotionally involved. To say that now it's an identity, right? Which is in large part why I'm so excited that we're misfits, right? Because we can set our own rules, and there's a scene again, and I don't want to give away too much of the show, but there's a scene at the end of The Joker that reminds me of us so much, y'all, where he gets up and he tried to play the game. This is where I want to start getting into Erk's conversation here, and his question is that you try playing the game by other people's rules. All right. And there's laws that keep people from harming someone else, right? There's the rules that set you away from doing harm to other people, to causing suffering, to taking advantage of, right? And these are the good things that government can do. That's the good thing that rules and laws can do, is they can keep us from harming each other. They can keep people that have more guns or have more power or have more money or have more numbers or whatever it is, to keep it around, based around what our principle, the founders of our country believe in, was the power of the individual. Okay, that's really what we're supposed to be, paying attention to. And if the individual is being set upon in an unfair way, laws and us as an integrity-based, heart-based, right-thinking species should come to the aid of someone that is being set upon unfairly. All right. So other than that, popular opinion and what happens to people and those kind of things that alienate groups of human beings because of who they are, right? Christians that are being tortured around the world, different, whatever it might be, where somebody is being discriminated against because of color, religion, sexual preference, just these things that I don't believe that a human being, not believe. Nobody can control what color they're born, right? You don't happen to, whatever you believe religiously, you should be free to believe it, as long as that belief doesn't infringe upon the livelihood and the pursuit of happiness of other groups of other human beings, right? But it's used as control. Okay. And I'm setting a really big plate here tonight, a really big plate, because this is going to be one of the more important shows that I do as we head into 2020 as Misfit Nation, as a group of human beings that has decided to hang out with each other, that has decided to challenge each other, that has decided that we found a group of core human beings that believe as we do, in such a way that doesn't tie us to hating someone else. There's none of that in Misfit Nation. We're not here to hate anybody else, right? The only people that I do not like or I dislike are people who are harming other human beings on purpose. And they know they are, for their own good. And that could be in business, right? You could have some large company and you're taking advantage of a certain group of people and blah, blah, blah. It's not going to stand for long. We live in the world of transparency, right? We live in the world of transparency. You cannot be a douchebag for too long without somebody pointing it out, right? And the definition for those of you new viewers or new listeners that are listening to this around the world, a douchebag in Misfit Nation is someone who is doing harm to someone else on purpose, and they know it, and they're not stopping to do it because it's benefiting them in some way, monetarily, power-wise, emotional-wise, whatever it is. These are the true bullies that are out there and harming people. Those of you that know, I have three major passions. I have a lot of them that I support, but the abduction and use of little girls and little boys for human trafficking purposes is disgusting. I don't like, there's nothing about the people that are participating in that I like. There's nothing that makes me think that they should be living and alive and walking this planet. Pastor Rudy disagrees with me, but that's okay. That's why he's one of my mentors in a specific area, because I don't like them. Okay. Men that beat their women and hold them hostage and beat their children. Got no use for you. Got no use for you. Okay. No use for you at all. Now, Pastor Rudy would probably disagree with me on that as well. Now, and feeding people we have enough food on the face of the planet to feed every living human being. It's just about distribution and control. Okay. Distribution we can overcome. Control, we must break down those barriers, right? So that is what, from my perspective, those are the three things that I hone in on. I'm also a big advocate for helping people who are suicidal. I'm also a big proponent for our vets. And those areas, there's going to be some cool stuff coming out in 2020. But all that being said, we have to understand the way that the game is structured. Okay. And then we're going to get into, and I want to set that stage well enough so that when we address Irk's question of why do I have a fear of success? Why do I get in my own way? Right? Why do I get in my own way? And so I'm just going to go ahead and pull the board in because, there's no better time than right now. And this is the Jason Cisneros. I don't know if y'all can see that. Can you read it or is it backwards? You guys are going to need to tell me whether that's backwards or not. Oh. Can you guys read that or is it backwards? Somebody let me know. I'm just going to pause here for just a second until it catches up. Not backwards. Oh, good. It's backwards on my deal. So here's what we're going to do. This is my what do we call it? This is my attempt at showing the caste system in the United States. Okay. And what we need to do about it. And then we're going to get into how this ties into our fear of success. All right. So here's my lower level. All right. And this is not monetary. Okay. This is not monetary. This happens to be, in my mind, you have a couple of things. You have your mindset, and you have your wallet, and you have your influence. All right. That is what makes up somebody's wealth. And that's what sets you, I know that they have socioeconomic levels of how much money you make, but this is different. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Lisa. It says Illuminati, and it says next to it, ha ha, just in case any of the Illuminati are watching this. Okay. So, that don't exist. So here at the bottom is, I hate everyone, and it's all their fault. Okay. No matter how much money you have, right? No matter how much money you have, or don't have, or how set upon that you are, how broke you are, whatever it is that you've got going on in your life, is that this is the victim, right? That's not the victim. Again, I personally define victim as somebody that's had their choice ripped away from them. They don't have the freedom to go start a business. They don't have a freedom to get up and go get a better job. They don't have a freedom to ask for help. They don't have to, on and on and on and on. It's always somebody else's fault. And I hate everybody. That, to me, that is the brokest, the most poor, the least resourced human beings on the face of the planet are the ones that decide to hate someone else, right? And to make it somebody else's fault, right? These are the people that will kill for their religion. This is the people I have researched all the religions of the world. And for the most part, there's some exceptions in language translation and so on and so forth. But for the most part, it's love your neighbor as you love yourself. That's the common thing amongst all of them, is to love your neighbor. So when you look at here, you say, look, I hate everyone and it's their fault. No matter what, that is the lowest caste of human beings that's on the face of the planet. Now, poor and righteous, right? These are the people that are poor. And like, you go to India, right, where there's so much love and there's so many people that are so incredibly broke, but there's love, right? Their worth is in no way, shape, or form tied into a monetary value. It's tied into how they live their life and what they believe is coming afterwards. That this might be your area of suffering, and that this might be hell. This life on earth might be hell, but their level of wealth attainment is super low, and they also don't have a whole bunch of choice, right? So again, this is not a conversation all about money. I want to make that crystal clear. It's about resources and resourcefulness. So poor and righteous is that level. Okay. And then the one above that is broke, but not for long, right? This is This is like, when you very first start, like for me, for instance, when I started hand peeling logs for $6 an hour, I was broke as a joke, but not for long, right? But not for long, because we see a future for ourselves. We see an outcome. We see that if we apply ourselves, especially here in the United States, those of you that are watching and listening from overseas, depending on where you're at, I get it, right? I get it. Like some things are set up. Like you fly into France, and I remember flying into Paris, and then I had to get on a train a couple days later, and I kept calling Air France for my bag. Kept calling them. They could give two shits about my bag. They don't care. They don't care, because if they care about me as a customer, they still make the same amount of money. If they don't care about me as a customer, they still don't make this. They'll still make the same amount of money. So that capitalistic desire for self-improvement and for incremental improvement is not as, it's not as inbred into some societies, or that's why a lot of people love to come to the United States, because they think to themselves they can come here and still make something of themselves, even if they're an immigrant, even if they're a first generation immigrant, and even if not that first generation, they can work hard, be diligent, be honest, follow the laws, learn the language, and then maybe their kids, right? And the second generation, first and second generation of immigrants, statistically, are some of the wealthiest first generation. We'll get up here to new money. All right. So anyway, broke, but not for long. In other words, they understand there's kind of a price to pay. You're not going to go from here to up here. And I think that there's a lot of challenges right now in society where we think we've trained our kids that they don't, but that there is a shortcut to wealth. Now, there's two sides of that equation. There is a shortcut if you listen to the people that have gone through it before you, and you nail the basics, because there's principles in business that haven't changed since the first goat was exchanged for the first piece of butter, right? There's principles in business that have not changed from the beginning of the first trade ever in the history of mankind. Okay. Now you learn those principles, and then you have the ability to innovate, but you don't have the ability to innovate until you've mastered the basics of capitalism, right? The basics of commerce. And there are some basics, there's some principles that are never going to change. I don't care how much you compute it, right? I don't care how much you compute it. There's only so far that an Amazon can go without that, and there's only so many things that we can innovate. Okay. Now that's not saying that we're not so lazy that we might just start settling for the things that we can innovate, but that's a whole other show. Okay. Stay on point, Jason. Stay on point. And by the way, this is what I'm drinking is yerba mate, since I've quit coffee 4 days ago. Doing good. Okay. So the broke, but not for long. Now, the next one is the upwardly mobile. Now, the upwardly mobile are the people that improve, that they realize, the upwardly mobile realize that their destiny is legit in their hands. Like somewhere down here, we haven't quite learned in any of these shorter ones or these lower ones, we haven't quite learned that there's nobody actually in our way. We still think that there's an imaginary straw man that's standing in our way. It might be the Republicans. It might be Trump. It might be Obama. It might be, the memory of my father beating me. It might be the memory of my mom being crazy, or it might be whatever the case may be. We still believe that there's a straw man that's set up in front of us, and that there's gatekeepers to the wealth. We're going to get to that. That's my favorite point, because I believe that as I was coming up, I'm like, all right, who's the gatekeeper? Who do I got to talk to? Who do I got to model? Who do I got to learn from? All of these are great thoughts, except for the fact that inherently in the belief systems here is the idea that someone here is going to open a door for you, and there's a gatekeeper that will let you through. Okay. It's not true, right? It's not true. So the upwardly mobile starts to dawn on them. And I'll tell you my experience with being in that slot for a period of time is that you're looking for people that you think, right? You hear this a lot in fortune cookies. You hear it quite a bit. And what you hear in the fortune cookie is that you want to model somebody that is where you want to be. Okay. And what happens is the level above that is the wannabes. Okay. And they do a great fucking job of faking you the hell out, that they are the gatekeepers, right? That they're the ones. These are the cliquey people that, and we'll get into it here, but the upwardly mobile start to realize, man, it really, the only thing holding me back is my mindset. The only thing holding me back is a framework that I know exists out there, right? It's a framework that I know exists. A framework that I know exists, but I don't have access to it yet, right? Which was a big reason why I built the growth program, the 12-week program, Growth, How to Master Your Business G-Spot. Because that's me being the Illuminati, baby, saying, here you go. Anybody that wants to know, I built it. This is the shit that you don't learn in school. This is the shit that you don't get from somebody who just read a book and is now a Facebook guru. This is me losing money. This is blah, 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 blah. And there's people out there like that, right? Tony Robbins has done it for years and years and years with psychology, things that you could break through your psychology over and over and over again and get to a new place because you're thinking better. You're thinking different. That's what upwardly mobile people start to realize. Hey, there's nobody in my way except for my behaviors. My behaviors are driven by my psychology. My psychology is driven by my competence and my learning and the facilities that I have accepted in my life, because that's what's surrounding me. Okay. We can reach across the world digitally. Right? There's a few people that are on here that are watching from London right now, right? I'm reaching across the ocean right now with this show, with this message. I get messages from the Middle East. I get them from Asia. I get them from all over the world. And so that means that we can reach places that we used to not be able to. That means that you can put yourself in proximity digitally to people like me, like anybody that's in the Misfit Nation. You can digitally put yourself in any environment that you want to and investigate, sniff around. Are these my people or not my people? Right? But we think that we're still locked in because we wake up next to the same person. We get on the phone to the same mom. We make a phone call to the same brother, right? We go to work with the same human beings. And we go about this thing where we've been born with this ability, this magic ability to create anything that we decide that we want to create, that we can do it, and we stunt it. Like, we just put a stake in it. And there's a lot of reasons, and we're going to end with the reason that Irk talked about, but I wanted to get into the caste system here in the United States. Okay. The next level above, let's talk about the wannabes for just a second. Okay. The wannabes, and I put next to it the soon to be brokes. All right. Because these people love, like, here's the thing. A wannabe is somebody, I have been a wannabe, by the way. I have been a wannabe. I think that everybody on the face of the planet, it's a phase that you have to go through. These are the caste systems as you raise through them, right? And so when you're looking at this, you're going to go through here. And what I found when I was upwardly mobile and looking to get through to that new money spot, right? That new money spot. But I didn't know that was there. I didn't understand this early on in my career. I thought everybody that was in the wannabe, everybody that was driving a Ferrari, everybody that was living in a big house, everybody that owned a business of any size, anybody that walked around in a brand new suit, anybody that had an RV, anybody that had a boat, anybody that went on really amazing vacations, right? I thought in my head, these motherfuckers are rich, right? And if I get to know that they have what I want, they have the freedom to go out on their boat. They have the freedom to do these types of things. They have all of that money. Then they get invited to the coolest parties. Like, there's places that they can open doors to you that you can't get in with people that are in the lower decks of the boat, right? And we're going to talk about that too. But you got to be careful in this phase, because these people that are in the wannabe stage never want for you to be successful and to surpass them. These are some of the most emotionally immature, controlling, ego-based, fragile, weak-spined, lying, manipulating people on the face of the planet. So I don't want to candy coat it, because you need to know when you run across them, right? What happens is they tend to bunch together. They'll get 3 or 4 of them, right? And they want to walk around, and they drive, they're driving the fancy cars, and they're like at the restaurants, and they're doing the Instagram posts and stuff with their arms around each other, and they're, at the end of the day, they're looking, they are trying to act like they actually have money, control, and power, right? And that you have to go through them to get to that upper level, okay? And it's absolute horseshit. They are one decision away. Matter of fact, I know a lot of these people that are driving the fancy cars and that are in the fancy houses that are struggling, trying to keep the house that they're in, trying to drive the car that they drive, right? They're putting on such a show that because they think the rest of the world, and the world has passed by. The world has passed by, right? It doesn't look at things the same way that it used to. It doesn't care what neighborhood you live in. It doesn't care so much what car you drive. Matter of fact, there's a lot of people, there's a big movement for tiny houses right now, right? There's an idea of the electric cars and these types of things where smaller is better, right? And you don't have to live in the giant houses, and you don't have to do these types of things. So just keep in mind that the people that are in that wannabe phase, and I think Carlos is asking the question, who's pretending this? If you're just joining, Carlos, you might have to go back and catch up, because I don't want to reiterate everything. But these are the levels, the caste system, according to Jason Cisneros, which could be complete and total bullshit, by the way, because I don't think I've seen you join us very often. But the idea is we're on the wannabe phase. Okay, and the wannabe phases are people that are driving cars they can't afford, living in homes that they can't afford, and doing things that they can't afford, and running up a whole bunch of debt, doing their best to, no, you're fine, brother, you're fine. But they're doing their best to pretend like they're wealthy, so that they can pretend like they're gatekeepers to your success. And I just wanted to point this out, Carlos. Thanks for being here, by the way. I wanted to point this out because if you're associating to those people that aren't actually where you want to be, right? They've got the outward appearance, but you don't know how much debt they're in. You don't know that they're about to lose their car. You don't know that they're about to lose their house. You don't know, all of these struggles that they're going through. And yet what you're doing is you're associating yourself to them. You're investing in helping them because you think that they're the gatekeeper for you to go to your next level. And I just want to let everybody know, absolutely not true. Okay. This is a spot where you've got to believe in your own power. You've got to read books. You have to put yourself in proximity to people that are actually, and we'll get to new money, old money, and that top level here in just a second. But you've got to put yourself into proximity with people that have, and here's where it starts. Here's where it starts. Is that when a man and a woman, or two men or two women, whatever it is, that they're in relationship to each other, and it's a genuine relationship of love. Okay. That's one indicator that those people are where you want to be, because they're not fighting. The guy's not going around cheating and cheating behind your back and all that other kind of shit. Like a good relationship between two people is a huge indicator that those are some people that you want to model, even if they're not super rich, right? But they're just doing a little better than you, right? Or you find a single person or somebody who's been single for a lot of years that is dedicated to serving and not really rubbing those kinds of things in everybody's face all the time, right? It's not always a relationship, but you can tell a lot by how someone treats their significant other as to whether that's somebody that you want to model. Now, why? Because how they treat the person that's closest to them, and then you go out with them to lunch and you see how they treat somebody that can do nothing for them. You ride with them in an Uber. You listen to how they treat people. You listen to how they treat servers at restaurants and so on and so forth. Though these are the underlying principles of a truly wealthy human being. Okay. Because again, when you're a wannabe, you're acting. Okay. You're acting. I used to be a wannabe. I was a wannabe for a little while, and I lost everything. Right. That's why I put the soon to be brokes over here, because I was a wannabe. I went out as soon as I had any kind of money. I went out and I bought a boat, and I bought the biggest house that I could in town. And I bought the biggest truck and the fastest car, and I was out drinking all the time, and I was bringing people over to the house to have boxing parties, and I was spending money like a motherfucker, and I was surrounded by people because I thought I had made it, and I was surrounded by people that were trying to use me to get to their next level, and I was surrounded by people who could give two shits about me as a human being. They just cared about what I had, and I didn't have real. I didn't have real. It was fake to the last like payment. Like they came and when I lost all that shit, which was one or two bad decisions in business, and they came and got the jet skis, and they came and picked up the extra 3 cars, and they came and picked up my only car, and they came and locked down my house, and they did all that shit. And guess where all of those people were? Fucking gone. Right? Because when you're a wannabe, you're not building real. I had not built real relationships. I had not built real wealth in myself. I had not built the facilities that it took in my mind to become wealthy. I had gotten good at making money and piss poor at keeping it, just like the rest of a large portion of the rest of the world. Right? And so when we talk about this, let me take a little swig here. But when we talk about this, I talk about it from these levels because I've been in all of them except for old money. Okay. I've been in all of them except for old money. And so what happens is you start to understand that wannabe group has a tight circle that you're really never going to penetrate, because if you do get in, you find out that they're fucking around on their wives, that they're cheating, that they're unhappy, that they're using antidepressants, that they're really struggling trying to make a house payment. They're really struggling, making the payments on the cars that they're rolling around and rubbing in everybody's face. Like I was that person, y'all. So I know, and there's a tight circle that they're in, and they do their best through every means that they possibly can to show the world that they are successful. Right. And I feel sorry if I went back through most of the versions of me on this, I was here, I was on the bottom. I hate everybody and it's everybody's fault. Like I was there. So if I could say the one that made me look at myself and go, that was fucking gross. Right? It was when I was in the wannabe phase. And then secondarily, it was when I was down here, but that was unconscious, right? I was unconscious down here because I hadn't learned anything. That was just living patterns, so to speak. And so that was the phase of my life that I look back, and I'm to this day, the most embarrassed of that the person that I am now, the person that I thought I was, the person that there's a version of Jason Cisneros that was fucking gross and treated people terribly and was selfish and could care less about any of the things that were going on out in the world. That phase was there. And you find out after you get past that phase, now coming back at it, and I went bankrupt 3 times, right? I guess I'm a slow learner, but when I came back, I decided that I did not want to ever go through that again. And so I handpicked the people that were close to me. I learned desperately. I learned slower. I learned harder lessons. I put myself in a place where I had to learn lessons to become the person that I wanted to become. Now I'm surrounded by people. I'm surrounded by people that when I had nothing, they were there, and when I've got a bunch, that they're here now, right? And that if I lost it all again, that they would be there for me as well, you know. And I'm talking about the Mike Lewises and the Sean Hunts and the Carlos Chavez's and the Eric Collinses and the people that have been in my life through thick and fucking thin, and I have been with them as well. They'll never leave my side, right? And I would never leave theirs. I would be by their side no matter what. And that to me, y'all, was the base, like learning how to treat people, learning. And I only learned it because I was in pain. I didn't learn it. I didn't learn the thing called empathy because my entire childhood was built on pure testosterone and ego and making people afraid of me, because my adopted father taught me that that's the way that a man should be, that people either feared you, right, or they didn't. And that was the way that I was raised. So when I look back, and I learned those things, it was because I went through pain, and through every pain that I've ever gone through, I learned empathy, right? I learned empathy along the way. And that all the way up to this last couple of years when I got E. coli and didn't know that I had it and how sick it made me. And it took away the one thing that I never had a challenge with was my health. And to lose that and the ability to lift my daughter above my head and to have so little energy that I would have to take a nap coming off of stages or after giving a talk to one of my companies or doing a negotiation or whatever it was. Now I have empathy. It's like, God or the universe or whatever's out there, it had to kick my ass in all of these areas for me to have empathy so that I could shut the fuck up and listen to other people. Right. And that's kind of the where this wisdom comes from. It doesn't have maybe it's not true for you. Okay. Maybe this is not true for you. For me, the misfits that I deal with and the people that I know that are here in Misfit Nation, this is very similar to the path that you can identify with one of these spots on the map. Right. And so as you elevate past that, and we'll go up into new money, my kids' kids are going to be the ones that are going to be able to tell you about old money because it still confuses the shit out of me. But I can tell you about new money, that the people below you, it's just as if you park, right? So the people below you here in the wannabe spot and the people above you in the old money spot, not all of them, because there's some really amazing old money people that got taught principles and are really, really great families and so on and so forth. But the people that are below you and the people that are in the new money spot, none of them are particularly happy that you're there. Okay. None of them are particularly happy that you're there. Unless the new money person happens to be somebody who likes to party, right, and to drink and all that kind of stuff. They're super happy when anybody shows up. But for the most part, that's a really lonely spot to be, leaving that wannabe, entering into the new money. And in new money, there's also some of the most amazing human beings that I've ever met in my entire life, because they made it themselves, right? They learned, in order to make that kind of wealth, you have to be good at building teams. There's no such thing as somebody that's in new money that doesn't understand that you have to have a stellar, amazing team around you, right? Even people in old money, their team happens to be a little different though, right? New money, they have people, their partners, they have their employees, they have, their attorneys and some of the people that help them manage their money. And then in the old money, their most trusted people around them are attorneys and their financial advisors and so on and so forth, because that's what they've learned to protect. It's much better to protect than to risk at a super high level. Okay. So new money, again, I would say 80% of the people that I run into that are in new money are stellar human beings. They still have that tie to where they came from. They still know that a couple of decisions, new money, right? It doesn't mean you're going to have money forever. It's more of a mindset, but it does mean that you're going to that you still feel like you could lose it. And so you better not become too much of a douche, right? Because you never know. You never know, right? You never know. So yes, Ryan, and I'm sure that there's different, there's different realms. This is sort of a psychological more than an amount of money, because there's people that are in wannabe phase that have sold a company and they've made, 10, 20, 50 million bucks. And I put next to wannabes the soon to be brokes, because I've watched a lot of those people lose almost all their money. And that's when I get the phone call. Hey, I've almost burned through everything that I made and I need some help to start making those good decisions. One of the most dangerous things most dangerous timeframes is after you've had a big success in business. So new money, doesn't matter the amount of money. It really is the mindset. New money means that I'm building wealth and not just about making more money. I'm building wealth, which means it's got to be sustainable. It needs to be protected. I've got to look at risk through a different lens called what don't I see, right? And so anyway, and then you got old money, and then I just put Illuminati above that because, haha, wink. I know there's no Illuminati out there watching this or watching anybody or sending everybody an invitation through Instagram, right? Carlos, huge question that Carlos just asked, right? How do you protect your assets? Now, that's a whole other talk, and that's what we get into. Carlos, I don't know how much you know. Again, welcome to the party. But I own a company called Anton J. It's a consulting company, and we the companies that I built and just sold, I just had a major exit myself. And then I kept 3 companies. One was my porta potty business, and the other one was is the Bald Avenger. And then the other one is Anton J Global, which is my consulting company where we help good people make more money so they make more money, get oh, you know the answer. Good. Okay, good. Because there is, again, talking about families, right? Old money. Where did I learn how to protect my assets? From the Rockefellers. One of the most successful in the history of all families ever. They had a strategy. And if you model their strategy, then you can do what they did, right? That's the same thing in business. You can model success of the people that actually are successful long-term. Okay. And that's why I built the 12-week program, Growth, How to Master Your Business G-Spot. Now, so the Illuminati, if you're one of them, cool. Welcome to the party. And that's it. So this is what I wanted to show everybody, and to set the final table as we head into answering Erk's main question, right? Carlos, 1,000% that there was evil factions in the Rockefeller family. So do not disagree with that at all. All I'm saying is that they actually set up the structure for those of us that aren't evil, that are making money. And by the way, it's good. I don't say it every time, and I should. I've been told that I need to bring this up always, constantly, is that the reason why I even have a consulting company or I built a 12-week program is so that good people can make more money, get more time so they can do more good, right? When I have Abby and Mark Moreland make a huge chunk of money because of what I taught them, they're the first ones to come to a new dawn and to donate and to do those things, right? When we've got, people like Laura Wilkerson, I don't know, she's usually on these, but when she makes a big chunk, what does she do? She helps more people with congenital, is that right? The word? Congenital brain disease, right? We've got people that are supporting. If I help Misfit Nation make more money, they're going to be able to get Pastor Rudy some money for undercover rescues of these little girls and boys, right? If we do that, we can get more money to a new dawn for domestic violence. If I do that, we can feed more people through Feed a Billion, which I'm the chairman of. We can do more good if we have more assets. And so that's what I'm using my talents for, is to resource other people to make a bunch of money so that we can do a lot more good. So good point, Carlos. Good point. A lot of the families, the big families, that there tends to be some evil factions. And I don't think everybody, just because of their last name or where they come from, is evil. But anyway, a whole other show, Carlos. So anyway, let's get back to the show, to the thing at hand here. Let me get this moved out of the way. Get back to the show that we were recording ourselves with. Welcome back to the Bald Vendor Show. And I got the whiteboard out of the way there. That reminds me a little bit of, it was a little Glenn Beckish tonight. Those of you guys remember when he was on Fox News and he would bring out his whiteboard or his chalkboard, and he would have the most incredible stuff, like, tied in and conspiracy theories. Turns out that he was right on a bunch of them. So cheers to you, Glenn Beck. Yes, Misfit Millionaires for 2020. That's what's going to happen. So let's get back to the principle, the darker side, right? The darker side of success. I just went through a big chunk of it. The darker side of success is that there's a lot of people that smile to your face and pat you on the back because they're looking for a soft place to stick the knife. My grandfather, again, that's granddad wisdom right there, right? Sometimes Jake, my nickname in the family was Jake. He said, sometimes Jake, when they're patting you on the back, they're not congratulating you. They're looking for a soft spot to stick the knife. And I found that to be so true so often. Those of you know that the Soap to Hope, January Riggin, I don't know if she's on here or not tonight, but this is a woman who is, again, massively perfect Misfit Nation. And she works 2 and 3 jobs, not for herself, not to increase her own wealth, but so that she can afford to buy travel-sized soap and shampoo and condoms and these types of things and clean needles and those kind of things. And then she walks the street on what she calls a slut walk, and she goes to all of the prostitutes and hands out stuff to them at night. And just lets them know she's a badass. Like, she's not somebody who comes off as a soft person, but that little bit of love, like loving the unlovable, tells me everything that I need to know about her, right? And that's the type of people that I want to resource. That's the type of people you want to resource, right? If that's not your thing, if you're not that down and dirty and you don't want to go undercover rescues with me or Pastor Rudy, and you don't want to, you don't want to go over to Africa, but you do want to help, right? And maybe your passion is being a stable father because you never had one, or being a stable mother because you never had one, or building, like, your art on this earth is to leave an amazing family, and to make sure that you're there for your kids and those kind of things. Like, whatever it is for you, that's the cool thing about Misfit Nation. It's a non-judgment zone. You can come here and have done anything, or be anybody, or be from anybody, or be worth any dollar amount or whatever it is. And you're welcome, as long as you're not fucking whining about your bullshit anymore. You've decided to own it. You've decided to forgive yourself. You've decided to make it right with the people that you may have harmed. And then you go on to use that harm and that pain and the stuff that you've gone through to serve other people. You're not constantly taking all the time. You're not that energy drain. You're out here to put energy back into the world, right? Nice. Love last night was about changing your environment and finding your new resources, people and friends. I love that. Well, Carlos, you just stumbled upon an amazing group of human beings here. So Misfit Nation, show Carlos a lot of love and tell him and make him feel welcome. Because we need it. Every warrior that joins us, right, in easing suffering is welcome here, right? Every warrior that decides to step up and that wants to be here to do these things, you're here. You're welcome here. You're welcome here. None of us that are on here that I see any of the names here, none of you are angels, right? We didn't start out that way. You might end up a saint, but you didn't start out an angel. Right? So so I want to get to Brother Irk's question and what I said about the darkness, right? About fear and doubt and the darker side of success. And I want to make sure that I nail everything that we were talking about here. Yes, fear, doubt, and the unknown, and that is used against you. Okay, remember the phase that I was talking about, where you're upwardly mobile, want to be new money. Like those are the three phases that I think that everybody's doing their best to head towards new money in some way, shape, or form. Okay, and so the thing that you've got to understand that Irk was talking about was, okay, and I want to set the stage, and then we're going to finish this. Money, weight, happiness, and success. Okay. The fear of success, you've got an identity. There's three things. You might want to make a note of this or come back and watch this later if you want to. It is what sets your reality is your identity, right? Your repetitive activities and your surroundings. And those are the three main components to whatever outcome. And again, we always go through the checklist. It's money, it's relationship, it's happiness, it's your health, and it's your success, right? So those are the components. Like those are the check boxes of where everywhere that we're trying to be successful, right? And our give back, our add back into society. And so it's our identity, our repetitive activities, and our surroundings that are going to identify why we are where we are. Right? Your identity will tell you, I'm a loser. I come from a terrible family. I fucked up. I went to prison. I'm an ex-con. I'm an ex-junkie. I'm an ex-prostitute. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, that's your identity that you have decided to believe that you are. Now, we all have examples of us acting outside of that identity and being a higher version of ourselves. If we were to say, if there's like the archetypical, angel on one side and the devil on the other, and you've got them talking, all of us have acted as the angel and all of us have acted as the devil. So what we're trying to do is stack together enough of those cool things that we've done right to be able to pass judgment. Now, pass judgment means if you're a Christian, the pearly gates, right? To pass judgment through those gates. If you're a Muslim, whatever you believe to be able to get you to your version of heaven, whatever religion you may believe, or to get to the end if you're an atheist and just say, look, I lived a life worth living. And to that is where we're doing our best to stack those together. We happen to be self-aware as human beings. We know that our death is imminent and impending and coming at us every single day, faster and faster, and sometimes in packages that we don't know. Sometimes we don't want to be sick, so we don't know if we're going to die in a airline crash. Right? The brave human dies one death, and a coward dies 1,000, right? I just fucked that quote completely up, but that's the point. Now, so those three identities, repetitive activities, what are you choosing? That's your behavior. Just think of repetitive activities as your behavior. It's what you choose to do. You get up. Do you get up early? Do you get up and go back to sleep? Do you get up? Do you drink booze? Do you get up? Do you take some vitamins and do you go work out? Do you run? Right? Do you listen to some motivational stuff, or do you look at, do you get up and you're frustrated or you're upset or you're focused or you're figuring out, looking around you, when's the next shoe going to drop? What are your repetitive activities? Because that is a huge indicator of the last one. And the last one is your surroundings. Now, your surroundings is the environment that you live in, right? The environment that you live in. It's the people that you're surrounded by, the people that you interact with consistently, the people that you live, that you live in a home with, the community that you happen to live in. Those are your surroundings, and what some of us would call in business, we call it our culture. Okay, we call it our culture, and inherently, this is one thing I want to point out. I'm glad you're here, Carlos, because I want to point out some of these things that I take for granted that we know, but there's no judgment or any right place for any of you, right? This isn't like, we're what Noel's in one place and Emily's in another place. And there's like, everybody's like, we're ranking everybody. This is a place for us to come, to hang out, to talk, and to exchange ideas so that we can figure out where we are on our own individual road. Like, I'm on a completely different path than everybody that's here, right? I'm on a completely different path. What I want out of life, I'm 100% sure that nobody else here wants. And so when we look at these things, it's just to say, okay, I need to sit down and I need to investigate what my belief is about myself, my identity. What is my identity? I need to think about, what am I doing on a repetitive basis? What if I took a notebook, right, as I've been doing specifically in my realm of health and wellness, and writing down everything that I'm drinking, everything that I'm eating, my workouts, how I'm feeling, what I'm feeling, when I get tired. It's an entire map of what I'm doing on my way to being in this shape that I want to be. Okay. But that is my repetitive activities. And I know that if I have a beer gut, or if I'm out of shape, I know that it's there, not because of genetics, not because of environment, not because of my dad was big boned or my mom was big boned or whatever it is. My body looks this way because of my repetitive behaviors, right? Because of, am I working out? Am I lifting? Am I eating correctly? Am I doing the things that are producing those type of things, right? And when we look at our money, it's the same exact thing. If you get up and you do the same things for 8 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, however long you're working every day, if you're doing the same shit day after day, you're going to make the same amount of money, and probably progressively less, because the cost of living that goes up, right? And inflation and all of those types of things. So you've got to be in your money head. You've got to be looking at, what can I do differently and improve upon to use my 10, 12, 14 hours, 8 hours, or whatever it is during my revenue producing hours to make more money. And if there's a map out there, I don't know, like the 12-week program that I built, then maybe you should take that, and that'll put it all in alignment for you. So there's that. So identity, repetitive activities, and surroundings. Now, let's talk about the inner game, okay? The inner game. And this is where I kind of mapped out for you the dark side of progress. I mapped out for you the caste system here in the United States, right? It's even more defined actually in other countries. And those people that live in those countries understand where they fit on the ladder of humanity, right? Because it's been there for so many years. It's been there for centuries, and they find themselves, they're born into it. And unlike America, doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what caste you are born into. You can make it to be anything that you want to, still in this country, still today. And I believe it's actually even more open today than it has been in years past, because of innovation, because of the switches that are happening in decentralizing money, what's happening in decentralizing power, the things that are happening in communications, and the decentralization of information, and those types of things are putting the power back in the hands of the individual. Now, we as individuals have a choice to make. And this is where I want to wrap the show up with these final thoughts. Okay. And my final thoughts are that we can choose to use our individual freedom to tribe up and to hate other people so that we feel good about ourselves, or we can use it to tribe up with people who are looking to level up, the people that are spending time and energy and effort in getting better and doing things according to easing suffering in the world. Because I believe a simple thing is that we're put here to become as good as we can get personally for the purpose of serving other people. Right. And this is, Carlos, you make a good point. People believe that school is the end all to make money. And it's so not true. Those people that have made money and then lost it, they understand that money is just a tool, right? If you think of yourself as a construction worker who's building your own version of your building, Okay. You're building it. Inside of it, you've got tools. You've got influence skills and tool sets. You have business skills and tool sets. You have the ability to be able to have empathy. You have the ability to be able to raise good children, or be able to leave a world better to other people's children or their grandchildren. And money, it's a tool in your tool belt. That the more of it that you have, like they say, money doesn't make you happy. It depends. It depends. The money that I've been able to make has made me extraordinarily happy in the choices that it's given me to be someone who can make an impact. Okay. And I think that guilty thing of, that it's the love of money. It's not, look, it's the ego. Money, you can put money in $1 million under 24-hour surveillance in a locked room. It's never going to do shit. Right. Same thing with weapons, same thing with guns. And it doesn't change or transform until it becomes kinetic energy, right, in the hands of the person who has it, right? Kinetic energy by the person, and that means their intent, their outcomes, and who they are is translated into an inanimate object, right? And that is called money. And so when we get into the original question that Irk asked me, okay, and I did a lot of talking to get to this point, is that he says, I want to introduce you to the darkest, the darkest, what's the word I'm looking for? Character in your life. The darkest character in your life. The darkest character in your life is the you that believes that yesterday equals tomorrow. That screams the loudest doubt into your brain. It's you. The one that has the most unrealized fears is you. The one that has the most prejudices about your capacity or the world that you are interacting with, that is holding you, that the imaginary them that's holding you back. That version of who you are, and we all have that chunk of our brain, right? That is there to protect us. And at the end of the day, that person or those thoughts and that belief system, that is the darkest version of who you are that is blocking you from your next level. Now, what do you do about it? Okay. What do you do about it? I'll tell you what I did about it because Irk is on a mission for his personal health. Like, he's losing weight, he's working out, and he's feeling good about it. And then all of a sudden, and I'm just, I know Irk won't mind me sharing this stuff, but he reaches out and he says, you know what? I feel good. I look good. Like I feel good about where I'm at, but I spend a lot of my time in my head going, fuck, I can go back. Right. What if I start self-sabotaging? Right. What if, and people, I have somebody else on here that recently just made a bunch of money and is still dealing with a poor mindset consistently. And what happens if I lose it? What happens if I go back? Look, it's a rational thought to say, what don't I see? It's irrational to think that we are deserving of a horrible ending to our life. It's ignorant for us to think that some dystopian future is our future. You see the things, that we're capable of, human beings, the diseases that we have eradicated from the face of this planet, the food, the way that we've been able to to grow food, to feed people, the way that we've been able to extend lives, how we've been able to replace body parts, how we're taking people that are completely crippled and building robots so that they can walk again, so that they can talk again, so that we're figuring out how to help blind people see. We are figuring out how to take deaf people and allow them to hear. We're taking and advancing the world of autism so that their voices can be heard through a different voice, so that we can see, so that we can see through the eyes that they see by Christopher Cason's through autistic eyes, right? And through where we are in a place where the utopia that we seek is within our reach, right? The utopia that we seek is within our reach. And the very struggle that Irk finds himself in with, I'm doing well, I'm losing weight, I'm getting in shape, but man, what if I fuck up and go all the way back to gaining all of that weight and putting I'm being sick and being lethargic and being blah, 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 right? We're on that precipice. We as a society where we have the reach that we can, that kids can live without pain, that we can have nobody starving on the face of this planet, that we can eradicate diseases, that we can help merge the great parts of science into our own existence, that it's right there. And yet we're just on the same precipice of destroying each other. We've got atom bombs and nuclear bombs that are pointed at each other, and people just trying to poke each other so that we'll go to war, so that we can kill each other, so that we can have power, so that we could do that kind of shit. Like, we live in a day and age where we're on the precipice of an enlightened era where we can minimize death and minimize pain and minimize suffering so much through the intellect and through the heart of people who are doing their best to ease suffering. And yet on the other side, you have people that want to cling to the old realm of power and control and holding people down. And that if somebody else, if Americans actually stopped separating themselves into Democrat and Republican, oh shit, they're going to realize that they should be cycling through the republic and through these places in government, because that's what the founders intended, was for us to put people in Washington for a short amount of time, that it should be a sacrifice. We shouldn't go there broke and come out like Pelosi with $248 million. This is not, by the way, a partisan conversation, because there's Republicans that have gone in and they've gone in broke and come out and now they're rich. Because we forgot the principle that the founding fathers laid down under that principle, that we're now trying to shred the Constitution. We're trying to make shit up for control purposes. That is what's going on right now, is to separate us into these fighting corners so that they can remain in power. And because we've forgotten our civic duty, our job is to go, whether it's through the military or through service in Washington, D.C., or through a local government or something, to where we sacrifice and we have to take time away from us and away from our family and away from making money to go serve our brothers and sisters that are in the United States of America, and to go serve them and to set no laws against ourselves, so that because we're going to go back and live under the laws that we set. That is what that's what the founders intended for this country to be. And what it's become is a bastardized version of that. One of the world's most perfect documents, right? The world's most perfect documents in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States and those documents that were put there for the utopia and the ideal that America was to become, are being shredded because it takes away power, right? It takes away power from the people who have accumulated it. The richest, why in the fuck is the richest county on the face of the planet the one surrounding Washington, D.C.? Because that's where the money is. Shouldn't be a money-making scheme. So long story short, that is not where I wanted to go tonight. And it doesn't mean anything other than to say this. There are plenty of things to overcome in the world in front of you that need you to have full capacity to understand that you are worthy, you are capable, you are smart enough, you are good looking enough, you have all of the tools that are in your tool belt. You're just not utilizing them because you're afraid that when you get to that place of success, that it's going to be ripped away from you. And it might be. I had it ripped away from me 3 times. You know what? It made this time that I have it much more solid, much more solid. And so I want to say, what can you do about it? What can you do about it? So let's take Irk, because I think he's a great example. He's working out. He needs to have a clear vision of what he wants his body to look like. Okay. And what that means energy wise, why he wants it, make it non-negotiable, and sit, everybody talks about meditation. Meditation is great unless it's not directed. Okay. Undirected meditation is basically sleeping. Okay. And if you're not sleeping, I even direct my sleep, right? I believe in lucid dreaming. I focus my thoughts on what a problem that I want it to work on while I'm sleeping, because we spend a ton of time there. And so if I was Irk, I would say I would spend a lot of time, not just in the process of eating better and working out. I would spend a lot of mental time, eyes closed, and imagining that version of himself which he seeks to be, so that he can be in it way more. So that when he gets there, it feels more comfortable. Because I know, again, people that are watching this that made a bunch of money recently needs to spend time in what it's like to have money and to start thinking about the principles of building wealth. What do I do now that I've made that chunk of money? What can I do to invest it, right? What can I do to make it work for me? Not be sitting there and hoarding it and thinking, oh my God, I got to protect it. And if I spend $1, for an upgraded version of butter, now I'm going to feel guilty. Look, feeling guilty is one of the least useful emotions that humans employ, right? Feeling guilty. Do shit or don't do it, right? If you do something and you go, let's say Irk's trying to lose some weight, and he happens to go on Sunday and he goes, fuck it, McDonald's, I want some cupcakes, I want some TCBY, and he goes off the chain. Enjoy that shit. Like, enjoy it, and then get back to work on Monday, right? Enjoy the hell out of it, and then get back to work on Monday. That's it. But spend a lot more time. So the thing I want to leave everybody here with is that whatever segment you happen to be struggling in currently, remember that it's your behaviors, your beliefs, right? Your identity, your repetitive actions, and your surroundings that are causing it. Nobody else. It's you. It's your identity. It's your repetitive activities, your surroundings. Anything in your thought processes that allows you the ability to escape responsibility should be X'd out of your brain and X'd out of your life immediately. When you say things like, the universe, it's up to the universe whether I succeed or not. When are the stars in alignment, with my astrological chart, the signs in the sand and the rocks coming together. Anything that puts the power outside of you is weakening your ability to be the highest version of who you are. Stop giving your power away, right? Look at those areas and know and understand, take 100% responsibility in the mirror for Irk, for Irk and for me and for you and for everybody watching this, to look in the mirror and take responsibility and say, I am where I am because of my own behaviors, beliefs, identity, repetitive activities, and my surroundings. What of those needs to change? All of them probably need to change for all of us, including myself, for my next level, right? And so I wanted to leave everybody with the idea that you can create that ideal existence for yourself on paper, and then begin to program the thought processes and spend time in that human being, so that when you get there, it's not so uncomfortable like Irk, that he doesn't feel good there, that he doesn't feel comfortable, that he feels more comfortable going back to McDonald's or a burger, whatever it is for him. I don't know the particulars of his life, but I do know that we have an escape route because We spent a lot of time there. That was our identity. It was our repetitive activities, and it was our surroundings. And we got used to it. Okay? We got used to it. Some of us are stuck in bitching and complaining and moaning and groaning about a political party that's holding you back or doing this or doing that. That's our home. And it's a home that's never going to serve you. It's a home that's never going to serve you. If you don't like the way things are, go to Washington, D.C., or get on a local, council or whatever it is and change shit. But don't buy into what's out there, y'all. There is way more love in this world. More like the world that I live in, right? That I've made my money in was the world of turnarounds, the world of buying companies that were about to go out of business and fixing them back up, right? What they call in private equity, undervalued assets. The greatest undervalued asset on the face of this planet is the human being's capacity to love. It's the greatest undervalued asset on the face of this planet in the history of this world. And so if I'm going to remain true to my core and to who I am as a human being, my next turnaround is to be able to bring out the resources and to see what this world is capable of by using the most underutilized asset that exists, which is love, compassion, and us taking personal responsibility for our own actions. So that's it. Brother Irk, if you made it all the way through this, hour and 39-minute soliloquy, God bless you. Thank you for those of you that stuck around for the entire thing, and for the entire message. This week, again, I say it all the time because I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of the women and the men that exist inside of Misfit Nation, the sharing, the new people that you're bringing in, the people that you are trusting by bringing them into this world. You're trusting me, and I take your trust extraordinarily seriously. I take your time extraordinarily seriously. So I do my best to add as much value as I can while we spend this time together. And I genuinely love you. Those of you that have met me in person, those of you that want to meet me in person, I'm all over the place, especially in 2020. I'm going to be everywhere. And there's nothing more that I love in this world than meeting somebody that we were connected online and giving a big old bear hug to. I'm going to be, those of you that are in the Chicagoland area, I'm going to be in Chicago on October 11th, this Friday. It's going to be a morning event, couple hours, maybe 3 hours. I'm going to be doing some brand new content and adding a bunch of value there. So if you're in the area, if you can make it on a short flight or whatever, we'd love to have you. The cost is a jar of peanut butter. We're raising, meals and food for the Peanut Butter Drive through Feed a Billion and through Feeding America. And that'll be, it's one of the cheapest ways to ever see me is with a jar of peanut butter. So, so Irk, great, brother. I'm glad you made it, man. Did I answer your question? Before I go away, I want to make sure that my outcome was achieved, that I answered your question and I gave you a tool to be able to deal with you shifting from your old self to your new self. So did I do my job or didn't I, Irk? Be honest. Cool. I'm waiting to be judged. Waiting to be judged by my brother Irk. If I get a thumbs up or not. Awesome. Got it. Cool. Great. So mission accomplished, right? We're going to be dealing with everybody's questions. This one was a long one. We're going to be dealing with all of you guys' questions. I'm going to be getting either I'll answer them or somebody that I can find that's the best in the business to answer. Your questions are going to be 5-minute shorts. We're going to do a bunch of those and we're going to be releasing them and giving you credit for the question. And there's been a couple of posts looking for that. But I hope to see you all soon. We got Chicago on Friday. We've got LA next Wednesday. We've got, let's see what happens after that. 28th is going to be a big fundraiser in New Jersey, New York area, for the little girls in Guatemala that have been raped and used and they've gotten pregnant. That's that. And then November 1st is A New Dawn, the second annual Dawn of Hope. I hope to see all of you there. It's always a great event for domestic violence and Cat Dawn. And then right after that, 9 and 10, 300 women for Tracy Porterfield. She put me in front of 300 women, y'all, and asking my perspective on from the male psyche. Somebody's going to make a lot of money. There's going to be a lot of psychiatrists that are on the 11th and the 12th that are going to be making a ton of money from those 300 women. They're going to be like, oh my God, I need help. I need to see you right now. I need to be on that couch. So that's going to be fun. Tracy Porterfield invited me in December 1st through the 7th. And I believe I got told that there's literally only 2 seats left available for that event. That one is 7 days in Cancun, Mexico, where I'm going to be training part of one day, a full day, and then part of another day on setting up an amazing 2020. Those of you that don't know, it's my number. It's my lucky number, 2020. My birthday's on the 22nd of 2020. October coming up. I'm going to be 48 years old, y'all. Whoo! Getting old. All right. So that's it. I look forward to seeing you all back here again on Monday next week. This is consistent every Monday, 7 p.m. MST, no matter where I am in the world. That's the time frame that we run by. I've got a day 67 was today for my morning 90 days when I'm getting up at 4, out of the house at 5, doing some kind of workout. And I've got 2 guests that are going to be coming on here in the next couple of weeks. So keep your eye open for that. I love you, Misfit Nation. Do not listen. Go about your week and go about your day and understand that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you are loved, that you are needed, and that you have every tool within your grasp and your reach. And no matter who told you that you didn't have that ability, or no matter who told you that you weren't capable, or that you didn't deserve this kind of anything that you're seeking out for your own life, just tell them to go fuck themselves. Get rid of those ideas, get rid of those thoughts, and know that you're part of Misfit Nation. Know you're part of my family, and know that you have everything inside of you that you need to, because you are unique, and only you can meet and match that vision that is unique to you. And we need it. The world needs you to be the best version of you can be. I need it. The rest of Misfit Nation needs it. And those that are out there in the dark, that are suffering, that have had choice taken away, need you to show the fuck up and step the fuck up. I love y'all. Peace.